Hello, 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 and welcome to another one line of code as I jump straight to the desktop scene with all of my research that I have been doing for my current issues. Ba-ba-ba-bum. Get rid of all of my research screens. How is everyone doing? Hi, Duke of Soft. I hope you're having a fantastic day today. I am busy, as you could tell, but not in a we have a release that's coming out and I need to give all of my attention to the release, so I should probably be not streaming. But in we have a meeting this afternoon with the client, just like our normal everyday Wednesday meetings, and we were just preparing some stuff that we're going to talk with them about after our daily stand up. I have a few other things that are currently running that I need to stop from running. What else is open? You are open. And since I don't have TTS, I will be reading off Dukasoft's jokes manually with my own voice. Oh man. As soon as I get everything else um, taken care of. Scooch. Okay. Email. A couple of windows. There. All right. It is all cleaned off. You no longer have to see all of my research on getting a window to start up as a foreground window when you run a process using C#. But if anyone does know if there are process.start parameters that I could be adding to get a window to be the topmost window when I launch it using process.start, when I launch a what's it called when I when I use process.start to launch an external application from my application, even though that's not what's happening here, but close enough, that that new application will pop up as the topmost. Then please let me know. Okay, joke time. Dukasoft first said twerk Irish twerk cam activated because Irish John Games came in and said twerk whilst I lurk. Thank you so much, so very much for your lurkin, Irish John. 11111, as he calls me, in my backyard. Sometimes you don't even say lion at the end of that. You just say 1111111. Wait, you have access to that? Yeah, we were all watching you this whole time. Is this what your backyard looks like? A bit of a, what you call it? A mess. We are actually in Handina. I can't read that. I can't read that. Let's make it bigger. I can't make it bigger. Bandera. I don't know where bandera is, but it means flag in Spanish. Wait, no. Yes. Am I right? I have no idea if I'm right or not. Bandera in English. Flag. So there is either a city named Bandera in the US or they just kind of faked it. It's a sick lawnmower. Best lawnmower I've ever seen. Oh my goodness. I don't even own a lawnmower. So, to the jokes, to the jokes. Dukasoft says, where do rabbits go after they get married? On a bunny moon. He also said, geology rocks, but geography is where it's at. Thank you. Do you know the difference between ignorance and apathy? I don't know, and I don't care. Dukasoft also said, I couldn't get a reservation at the library. They were completely storied. Um, Stop saying true, Irish John Games. You got me hooked on saying true. You have so many things that you say that so many of us in your community pick up on and start using on our own streams. Like true and true. And Deflex is here. Dukasoft is like true. It'd be a Swiss somewhere. But Deflux, thank you so much for the sub. 20 months of subbing, 20 months in a row, even. Streak. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for hanging out. You know, it's busy, busy times. It's busy time of day for you. I love the hype emoji. Okay, to the desktop. So the reason that I'm late is because I mentioned this earlier already. I was still on the phone with my project manager because we were getting some stuff ready for this afternoon's meeting with the client, because we have a meeting every Wednesday to touch base with how the team is doing, what we're working on, where we're at with all of their requests, demands. And yeah, it's going really well. So the release that I came in on was just completely different than the normal pace of any other release. It seems like it was so hectic, so high energy, and everyone was just ah. The thing that I still don't understand is during the meet, we have a meeting on Tuesdays with another team that is working on a separate product that we are pulling into our application. And for some reason, the way that we communicate is whoever can talk the loudest and whoever can interject and not have a problem with speaking over someone else is the one that has the floor. And that just happens so often that no one is able to say anything or get a full thought out before someone is already saying, no, we can't do that, or you have to do it this way. I just don't get it. So I don't really talk during those, because I really don't like the feeling that other people give me when they have their what I'm about to say will thwart whatever it is that you are trying to say, because I know what you're about to say. And it's like, you don't. So I don't understand it. And it's like for our team, the things that I don't understand are, why are we saying that this other team needs to do these things in order for our stuff to do what we want it to do? Can't we find some way that we do whatever work we need to do in order to get their stuff to work with ours? As well as saying, well, we tried these, we can't quite get this thing to work. Could you please? Yeah, Deflex knows. He says, I hate it when people try and answer questions that they decide that he's asking without first listening to the question that I'm asking. Hate is a strong word, but it rubs me the wrong way. So yeah, but that was that was the dynamic. That is the dynamic in most of our meetings. And I just don't get it. I don't get how it's allowed at all in a professional environment. But that's just me complaining. I'm okay with complaining today. So anyway, hi everyone. Done complaining. We are now looking at the financial management app to, yes, let's go. Hello, Amin. Hello. I didn't wave at you earlier. I didn't wave back at you because I was talking about stuff. But yes, thank you, Dukesoft. There is the link to our GitHub, to the project on GitHub, to our Discord. But I will say, if people want to do a yelling match with me, I'm fixing on winning those points. Yeah. And I'm fixing on winning those points by staying quiet and letting them yell. Because obviously what they have to say is more important than what I have to say. Yes, that's what it was. I was missing the Amin's let's go signature. So my eyes just kind of glaze over your name unless I hear the let's go, and it's like, hey, Amin is here. Because you aren't fully here until The lemmings have introduced you. Anyway. That's my opinion on those types of meetings. And it might just be that that's how it works in the industry, but I'm not going to get used to it. And I'm not going to accept it as something that should be happening. Nor am I going to try to work with it. I'm going to be stubborn and say, nope. Yeah, nope. Okay. But as I was starting to mention, Dukesoft did put up the link for this project on GitHub. We got to the point of being able to push the X button to get this modal, which isn't styled as a modal, but it is a modal, to show up. I like how the X button disappears when you click dismiss. But the modal will show up when you try to exit it. We'll have a checkbox that says never ask again. When I click the X button, I really mean click the X button. But the cool thing is that we will be saving the current post to date so that if they were like, I didn't mean to, and then they click the pending again to enter the posted date to mark it as not pending. Sorry, dialogue. Is that better? But it really is going to be a modal because it is going to sit on top of all of the other windows. And, ooh, I talked about this. I talked about this Z index thing not too long ago. Pop-up, sure. I'll call it a pop-up. I don't care. Like, that's the other thing that they get hooked on during the meetings, and I'm just like, what? So, you know the intent of what the person that's saying it is, but you don't want them to use specific words. And so you're going to refute them until they use the correct words, even though you know what they mean. It's like, I wish you would stop using the word functionality. And it's like, but you know what I'm talking about. When we pull in your app, we click on one of the, not your app, but the components that you give us from Angular. When you click on one of the buttons, it calls a method or a function that sends a message to your backend. Your backend does stuff, sends a message back to that component. That component gives us data back, gives the main app data back. Functionality is you clicked on this button, the backend did stuff, we got stuff back. Sounds like functionality to me, but you know that that's what we mean. So when we say, how are we going to keep the versions the same? And I wasn't the one making any of these arguments. I was just listening to our people making the arguments that were like, yes, that makes sense to me. Maybe you're not using the right terms, but the other team knows what you're talking about. The thingy. We're going to call it the thingy, the two buttons floating thingy. TTBFT. Duh. Just make an acronym for everything. Like GSW instead of gunshot wound. Because, you know, GSW is so much easier to say. Cancel. I want to keep at least one transaction in there. The thing that we aren't seeing, though, is when we click on this, the pending dialog is not showing up. And that should be showing up. So we have show confirm mark pending, which is hidden behind a show confirm mark pending flag. Here it is. Show confirm mark pending. And that's done the same way that the show posted date entry. And I think we found out why. If the past in transaction has a posted date, then display a modal to confirm the change unless the user has already selected to never ask. That's the wrong one. 9 coins. O&L. That's the prefix that I put on my component library. It looks like oil. Okay, Deflex, I'll be here. I ended up taking it off, didn't I? Huh. Where's my library? Yes, I did. So never mind. They don't say, oh, I know what it is. Any CSS that I create, any isolated CSS or even standard CSS for all of them, I have prefixed with O1L. That's what it was. Okay, I'm a member. I'm a member. That way, none of my CSS would conflict with something like Bootstrap or Material or any other CSS library, framework, whatever. But anyway, how is everyone doing? I don't know if I actually asked. I hope you're amazing today. It is Wednesday, January 25th, where the winners go. Okay, we're going to restart the app. Oil, all, O&L, O&L, O, capital IL, O, lowercase ll, 0, 1L, 0, IL, 0, capital or lowercase ll. All of it. Every single bit of it. Okay. We need to look at this logic for when we click on the toggle pending and we don't have a value, then this is so backwards. This is so backwards. No, it's not. Confirm mark pending. Confirm posted date entry. Okay, my bag. It was not backwards. I'm backwards. I'm Lisdexic. Are you sure that you want to remove this, the posted date for this transaction? Are you sure you want to... Oh, this needs to be localized. Want to mark this transaction as pending. This will remove the posted date from the record. Okay, so let's take this text here. We have two things. We have this confirm mark pending key that we need to add. And we have a new string that we are going to add to our localizer. So confirm mark pending title is, my goodness, what was I doing? I'm doing a lot of this incorrectly now that I'm looking at it. Mark pending question mark. Mark pending who? You know, mark pending. Mark pending question. Here, localizer. Mark pending question, man. Other people are going live. I have not been lurking anywhere today on the good old Twitch network because I've been really involved with getting the stuff done that I am wanting to get done. Holy cow. Holy cow. I was also in a meeting this morning with the company that I work for, aka Sagetti, where they had this Sagetti-wide information on tacos and geese. on a new performance evaluation system that they are implementing now. Oh, I got words. I got all the words. It's not going to load. I can't get Teams to load. That's okay. It's over there. So we have marked pending question. We have the marked pending title, which means that when we push the X after rebuilding and allowing it to refresh the page, there it goes. Then when we click on the X, then it still says enter posted date. Yeah, it is backwards because I just now removed the bang because I was backwards. No, I didn't. Wait, what? How is this backwards? Okay, if not transaction date dot posted date dot has value, yeah, it is backwards. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. If we have a posted date, then that means that the record is not pending. So keep track of the most recent posted date that we are deleting for this particular record. So this is one row, which means that if I try to delete two of them, then the most recent posted date that gets saved for that row will just be the one that's in the posted date column, pending currently. Yeah. And so we can show that. Let's just show that over here in the memo column. Memo. Just to make sure that functionality is working. And then we will find out why clicking on this TD, or actually the span, it's because I don't have an on click. Oh, that's because I can put it on the no, because I wanted it on the button. That's what it was. Okay. And I said we're going to do it both ways. We're going to have one version where we get a pop-up that says type in the posted date, and then we're going to have another version that's going to be an inline text editor, inline input field essentially, that we're just going to be able to type in the date for directly there and stuff. But for now, span, on click, arrows, toggle, pending. And then we'll style this so that we get a cursor or pointer and indicating that you can click here. Did you finish? You finished. Okay, so now we have that. I need to localize the title. Any other text in here currently that needs to be localized. Posted date is good. Asta. Enter posted date. And rebuild. Refresh. Reload. Enter posted date. It's gonna be fun figuring out if we're gonna try to localize these strings. All right, so in the memo column, as I mentioned, we're going to now print out the saved posted date, which we should get as soon as we click on delete. And there it is. So we have the saved posted date. And that's going to be different than the saved posted date for this row, regardless of how many times I click it. Irregardlessly. Okay. The thing is that I remember clicking this and pushing remove and it goes away, but it doesn't seem like it actually deleted it from the record. So we're going to investigate that too. The other thing that needs to happen is that we restore the enter posted date in this field. So let's make sure that that works. And there was a SQL error when trying to save the record. There you go. We've already investigated it, and now we know. Okay, so instead of being for transaction posted date, you're going to be for underscore entered date. And that way, if we remove it and we're like, oh, wait, I wanted to keep that, then it's pre-populated and then we can save it back for that row. Very cool. That works as expected. When does that ever happen? Oh, all the time? Duh. When you type perfect code the way that Dukasoft types it, you never have this issue. What? Uh, Okie dokie. What to do next? We're going to investigate the SQL errors for saving the record. And it looks like it's not getting the account type ID in the view model that we're passing back. So let's watch what gets sent to the server when we save the delete posted date. And one thing that's really bothering me that we may as well take care of now is that I would like the posted date to, oh, this is .has value, to short date. And then we'll make sure that the date that gets displayed as short date, I'm pretty sure this does it by default, but will be localized as well. So if you are in pretty much anywhere but America, then you'll see day, day, month, month, year, year, year instead. But that gets rid of the time component on it because the only thing that we care about is that this column here is the date that it got posted. We aren't tracking as far down as what time did this transaction get posted. Only care about the date. The other thing is changing the column header name to, instead of saying pending, it will say posted date. Pending column. Why aren't you guys localized? Shared localizer. No, not the end of span. Here. Clause. Okay. Oh man, so this is a hard one. For those of you that are in a country that does not, or just know of locales that do not use colons, how would you store the value for this? Like in the US, we would do something like sort info colon and then display the info. But I've heard from our current application that there are some countries that use a dash instead of colon, like I think Germany does. They don't use colons, they use dashes. And if so, how would I put this in my UI so that we don't localize the dash or the colon, or do I localize the colon as part of the value? So for example, do I put sort info is my key or sort info label, maybe? Do I put sort info colon, and then when it gets localized into the other language, that's when we do whatever the translation is, space dash space? Or for the languages that don't use any punctuation there at all? Because I got my hand slapped for doing that. I didn't like getting my hand slapped. And since I'm calling it a sort info label, well, it's not actually a label because it's not labeling an input. And I also saw when I was using Wave that labels aren't really meant to be by themselves without an input of some sort, an input or a button that it's referring to. Right. So many questions, just too many questions. And this will be no sort text. That's right. Keep saving. Keep reloading. Okay, that should take care of the minor UI things that were bothering me for a little bit, because my nose gets stuffy at the end there. All right, now we can inspect this. So let's push the X, push remove, go inspect what got sent to the server. Here is what got sent to this. That's the response that we got back. And I'll go ahead and use JSON grid because I don't feel like making the DevTools longer. And I can put both the request and response in the same deal. Such good descriptive words and language. Look at me go. Okay, it's going a little too far. You need to calm down. Here is our payload, copy object. All right, so now we should have our request on top. I decline. You cannot have my cookies. I want them all to myself. We have the account value text. No, wait, that's account value. I need account type. We don't have account type anywhere in the payment record that we're sending over. Why do I need it? I'm not trying to update the account record. It's trying to update the account record and not the transaction record. Or as well as, that's what I meant to say, obviously. So we need to go over into our transaction service on the server side, which is not currently open. Excuse me, are you the server? You are client. Are you the server? You are. Wait, it was open. Whatever. So in our update, the first thing that we are doing is turning our view model, or one of the first things that we're doing. We are first validating that the model that we're passing in is valid by validating it. Then we are turning the view model into an entity model. Part of this to entity model gives us back the account record, the full account record. And so I think what I need to do from here is put a flag that says include navigation properties. And we'll mark it as true by default because when I am getting back the data from when I am doing a get for all of the transaction information, one of the fields that is validated is does the current record have the account itself, the navigation property. Hey, it's Tyndall. No, I have not. I have not been keeping up with the information. I was going to say news. I mean, I guess it's news. The news on the latest and greatest about Blazor lately because I have been so focused on generating images all the time, making my prompts better to generate better images. It's an addiction, I tell you. And also doing my job. Just doing my job. But Deflex has heard about it. So what is Unified Blazor? Is it essentially the thing where you can have a Blazor application that maybe starts as Blazor server and then transitions to WebAssembly? Or it's Blazor server with all the features of Blazor Wasm? Yeah, where you output static pages or whatever. Just HTML and no scripts. Awesome. Yeah, that'd be really interesting. I want to know more. I really, really want to know more about that. Although, like right now, I'm not using technology that requires it, other than this project, of course, where we are doing Blazor server and Blazor WebAssembly. And it would be nice if the application would start fast, Blazor server, and then switch over to client running it instead of needing to go back to the server every time you make a UI update. That's awesome. Thank you for pointing me to that. I'll probably need, oh wait, you gave me a link. You gave me a link, so I will be watching that after the, hi Steve. I'll be watching that after the stream. I paused him at the right moment. So, I should be able to now update this extension service such that when I request a to entity model, instead of needing to clear out the navigation properties, it just won't be populated at all. So here, if I pass in true, then instead of needing to manually remove the account, deposit, reason, etc., depending on what my returned object is, then I'll get that for free. So we'll do that by saying if include navigation properties, then we'll get a new account record with the passed in account ID and account name. Else, non-nullable default. The forgiven default, because this is not nullable. So I can't just say create a new account, because if we create a new account, then that will try to add a new account record and it'll be like, well, the account name is missing. and that's required to create a new account record. Or, yeah, other things. So this is a way for us to just say, we're not actually using account. And we're going to do the same thing, and I might be able to copy like this, or deposit reason. Ooh, which is not getting populated at all anyway. And this is a lookup deposit reason. Ubisoft just came back and he's like, whoa, the amazing Thindle is here. Feel free to check out Thindle. He is also streamer extraordinaire, fantastic individual. Also, as well as, along with, at the same time as, we also had Irish John Games in here, who is a fantastic streamer working on a game called Rise of Piracy. Check it out on Steam. He's getting really, really, really close for early access. He's currently working on the tutorial. He's got most of the bugs cleaned off, most of the issues and weird behavior cleaned out. So really good times over on his channel. And he's just a great streamer. Like, even if you're not interested in Unity development, it's so cool to hang out with him. So much fun. But for Thindle is a .NET web developer as well, modernizing web applications, going from .NET framework legacy technology to current technology. I'll just say it that way. But yeah, he's a lurkin. He's a lurkin, and you will see a follow button if you aren't already following Tyndall. Watashi wa don't have a no you command because I'm not as cool. I don't deserve to have one yet. Not until I actually make some interactivity stuff. Yeah, I anytime that I call you guys out, just know that I'm not trying to pull you out of lurk mode if you are lurking, especially if it's hard for you to get to a keyboard. Okay, deposit reason, yeah. Jernkin, it's lurking. Okay, so what I copied before was this combined with this, because for the other ones, when we have a navigation property, we don't want to include it when this flag is set to false. Then I was saying I had a meeting today that I've been having some anxiety attacks over. I'm glad you made it through. I'm glad it's finally over. It went way better than expected. Not great, but better. Yeah, I know how it is when there's, whoops, when there's something upcoming that's just like, I wish this thing would be done already. Otherwise, you're just kind of sitting there agonizing about it. That didn't work the way I was expecting it to. Dang. Right. Maybe if I just did these two only. Yeah, I can only do one at a time. I thought that as long as you had the same number of cursors, or modular number of cursors, where it was the exact number, that it would just put first, second, alternate first, second, whatever, however many total you have. But it doesn't. I was wrong. Okay, so that means that everywhere that I have this logic to remove the account and either the deposit reason or the payment details or the target account stuff, I don't need that as long as I pass in true with my to entity. So let's find out where else I have that. I know I have it in one more place. I know I have it in one more place. Apparently I don't. This would have been another place for it, and that's it, actually. Because deletes, even though I am using a, no, I'm just using an ID. Just kidding. And there is the shout out to Irish John Games. If you are not currently following him, you should see a heart above chat. Click on that and you will be following. And Xcoding is here. Another fantastic .NET developer working on creating his own IDE using C#. We get so many cool people. It's just not fair. We got people in the shadows. We got quiet people. We got loud people. We got all manner of people. People, people. People, people don't stop. I think I'm done. I think I fixed it. Let's go find out if in T. Williams we also have bots. We got 2 bots, actually. 3 bots. We got T. Williams. We got Ducasoft. We got automated. Oh. Wait, what? Ducasoft is better than a bot. He's like a bot plus infinity. That's his version number. What? Oh my goodness. Click. Push remove. Any errors? Yes, errors. Why are we still getting errors? An error occurred while saving. Foreign key constraint, account type ID. That doesn't make sense. We're no longer trying to save the record with an account type or an account record. Okay, let's make sure that what I am saying is the truth. And when we entity model, we are not actually populating the account. Object. Instead, we're just setting it to non-null default. But this might actually be instantiating a new record. Because I was supposed to not change it to default bang, change it to null bang, which is completely counterintuitive. But and there is the follow for Xcoding if you're not following him and you feel like watching some more amazing .NET development, then feel free to click on the heart and you will instantly be following him. So T. Williams is saying, I identify as a bot unicorn. And according to a box of mac and cheese, I also identify as a family of 4. I love that. I think you were the first one that said that. It was great. It was fantastic. And you are most welcome, Xcoding. Most welcome indeed. I saw that you're getting rated a lot. What, 2 days ago? Like, you had at least 4 raids. Elisha rated you. I rated you. I rated. I don't remember if that was the day that I rated. I can't say it. That I rated you. It was the day that I rated you. Yep, it was Monday. You're most welcome. Absolutely. Absolutely fun times. Okay, let's try this request again after starting the server back up because we don't need to attach the debugger. And T. Williams is saying, as soon as I get my new office set up, I'm going to start back streaming. Awesome. Cool. I am subscribing to Jew right now. I mean, following you. I don't know if I'm going to subscribe yet, but I'm definitely following. Is that a Spaceballs picture for your account profile? No, show me the account picture. Oh, man, it reminds me of a game that I used to play back in, oh my gosh, when was that? Must have been early 17th century, I think. It was the one where you're flying around in a spaceship in a sewer. It was called Sewer Rats on, what was it on? Sega CD. That was great. It just looked like regular Star Wars. It looked too parody to me. Let's try this request again. Remove. Oh, oh, an error occurred. Son of a. Excuse me. What was the error? On key constraint. What's going on? Right, we are definitely attaching a debugger. Figuring out what's happening. We should only be getting these records populated if we are passing in true to the include navigation property. Oh my goodness. I'm so dyslexic. All right, we should be passing in false. How many of you saw that before me? Those of you watching in the future. Why didn't you tell me? All right. Running again without the debugger attached. I know it's going to be bad news, but still doing it. How many of these tabs are we going to have open now? F for 12, click on the X, push remove, and this time we got an error message. Wait, what? With the error, foreign key constraint. This doesn't look like a foreign key constraint issue. This is not a foreign key constraint issue. This is a, duh. I'm remembering how to do programming currently, apparently, for the first time. So it's telling me that it cannot add a new record because I would be inserting a duplicate key in the ID field for transaction. And what I'm trying to do is update the record. But before I can update this record, I need to mark it as actually, like, now that I'm thinking of it, what I'm supposed to do, entry. What I'm supposed to do is query for the record from the database, matching the ID while it is connected, then modify that record with track changes, and then save it back. I'll remove this connection string later. So T. Williams is saying it had a self-taught, in air quotes, in just regular quotes, guy who did some programming in VB6 retire. had to change a SQL connection string in his code, and in one form there were 19 connection strings, the same connection string. And that's in the first of 7 apps. How long has he been doing it? And when exactly did he retire if the only thing he's been doing is VB6? We're going to mark it as modified for now. We're going to see if this works, but we're going to do it the correct way. I don't know why you say add. Yeah, so this is... It's because I'm in add. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. We need to go down to update. We are doing it the right way. We're saying if there is no record that matches the passed in ID, then we send back a message that says the specified transaction doesn't exist. Otherwise, we create the update record by using the entity model, or the passed in view model, turning that into an entity model, and then using the update command of entity framework to update the record and then save those changes. And yet this is telling me that we're trying to do an insert, not an update. Wait, this is trying to add a new payment record. Why is it trying to add a new payment record? The record that we're trying to remove the posted date from is a deposit. No, is a transfer. No. No, it's not. What are we trying to remove? Is a payment. Okay, so we're trying to remove a record that is a payment record. Which we're passing in the payment details for. Oh, we need to forward. Hello, Abydus. Welcome back again. Wonderful, wonderful day to you. We need to forward this include nav properties to this extension method. And we'll probably need to do that on anything else that we are also creating. Going from a view model to the entity model. Yeah. You. I still don't see where the issue is coming in because it was looking for transaction. It's only a little confusing. I don't know what I'm doing. Yeah, I think we're gonna have to figure that out when we get there. Like, how is the transaction record getting created for my child payment record? So if it's a payment, we get a transaction ID, and we should never populate the payment record. Transaction record. I wonder if that's what the issue is. We're populating the transaction ID and not telling it to not populate the transaction navigation property. Which I would have thought if we didn't specify anything that it wouldn't try. You don't default to, yeah, you do. Anyway, let's see if this works. You just get rid of the key constraint. What could go wrong? Nothing could go wrong because it's my app. And it's perfect in every. Yes. Oh, such a troll. Wait, what? Thank you, Dukasoft, for the bits. Finding new ways to surprise me. All of these sounds that I have never heard on the stream. Dude, that bottle's empty. Stop reaching. Go for the new bottle. Drink a lot of water if you can tell. Okay, are we still getting a foreign key index? Uh, duplicate key, duplicate value. It's in payments. It's in this. No, it's in this. Yeah, this is why I should instead query for the record and then patch the record. I think I'll do that. It's a bit of a surprise. I get it. I get it. Do your kids love your jokes? I bet you they love your jokes. Dad jokes. I have a drinking problem. Here's a hole in my mouth. Okay. We're gonna get the record. Is this record is gonna be transactions where transaction ID is that. Right, right. And this is going to be a include. All of the includes, man, I need an easy way to do this. Don't I have that already? So all of this here, can I do an as no tracking after this? Yes, I can. Okay. So all of this here is going to be a stock standard way of getting data from the database. So I'm going to create for me a private static. Am I going to make it private static? Yeah. I I can't make it static. So private iQueryable of uh, T data entry. Nope, can't do that. Of I oh I can't do that either. Wait, of transaction. Duh. Concrete class, because we will always be querying for the concrete class. And we'll call this transaction. Query. And we're always going to, oh, which I guess since I'm making it a read-only property, we give it the proper case. And this is going to be a context. Oh, but I need the context. So let's make it a method, which means that we can make it static. Good, good. All right, so this is going to be a finan man context, and this is going to give us back context dot transactions to all of these. That way I don't have to keep typing it over and over and over and over. Of course, you know what I could do is just create myself a what's it called? Repository. Why is that doing that? Okay, so it should be good to go for all of those. Toast, toast, toast. So that means that you here can be, I guess that could be an extension on context, but it doesn't matter. I mean, we can make it an extension. Toast. Just got back here. I had to go get my mail. My mailbox is like a block away because it's one of those group mailbox things. I want it to be an extension method. I'm so lazy. I'm going to put it down here because, again, I'm so lazy. Public static class finan man context extensions public static all this stuff. Only instead of just being on an instanced finan man context, is going to be on a this instanced finan man context, such that we can just do a dot transaction context dot transactions query as no tracking at the end. Then we can do the where clause and the Santa Claus. T. Williams is saying my mailbox is at the end of a driveway and it's raining, so there's no mail today. Wait, you don't get mail on days that it rains? Or do you mean you just don't go out and get mail? And Thindles is half a floor down. Half a floor. Interesting. Like I only go out to the mailbox once a week. Well, it used to be consistently once a week. I'm at like floor 1.5. What? I'm not going out. Bills aren't that important. You get bills in the mail? I don't get bills in the mail. I only get junk mail. Oh, from the ground floor, it's an 8-step stairway instead of a whatever. Then to floor 2.5, it's like 30 more. Jeez. Yes. Oh, yes. Transaction query has no tracking. All of this stuff is included. Give me the first or default with that ID. We don't need it there because that's creating a new record. And here is where we are at with updating a new record. Updating a record. You are now transaction query with tracking, with all of your includes, first or default, a sync where the model matches. The ID matches the passed in model's ID. If this is null, then the record doesn't exist. Otherwise, we need to patch the record. And so what I'm going to do is patch it using the view model. And in order to do that, we're going to use another extension method because why not? Who doesn't love a good extension method? And so that extension method is going to be public static transaction patch I transaction data entry view model. Wait, that's the argument that we're passing in, but it's going to be an actual transaction that we're patching. Okay, good. This transaction. By the time we're done with this, we're going to return a transaction. What do you think I was going to say? I would think you're weird. Who actually counts stairs? I think about my weird all the time. But I know plenty of people who would count stairs. I'm gonna copy that. Copy. I'll go ahead and copy all of this. Should be fine. Okay, and in front of all of these, we're gonna do transaction dot. And since this is a patch and we know that it's not going to be a new record, we don't need to populate the account information because we aren't changing the account. We aren't allowed to change the ID. We aren't allowed to change the we are allowed to change the associated account ID. Dang it. We're allowed to change the associated account ID, which means that we will be potentially needing to clear out the account record. So if account, yeah, exactly what you were saying. If the current associated account ID is not the same as the passed in models account ID, then that means that we're doing an update to it. Which means update the account ID to the new value, and then probably set this to null bang so that it will just automatically populate the navigation property for us. Yeah? Yeah, okay. Transaction dot. If I knew how to spell, I would be on top of the well, ready to jump in. What? You guys are weird. I know I still have errors, but I'm a compulsive saver. Same thing with all of this information as well. Okay, so the reason that I kept this was because I'm lazy. Didn't feel like deleting it. We don't need to update that. We might update the reason, but we'll do that above. Mm, mm. Yeah. So if transaction.deposit is null, then that means that we are actually updating a record that was a deposit entry view model that didn't have an associated navigation property of deposit, which is not possible. It's just not possible. But if it is, then we need to create a new deposit that has the transaction ID. Ignore the transaction navigation property now that we're creating a new one. And yeah, and then we'll populate the deposit information down here. With a deposit reason ID. Dang it. Very confusing. And then we'll update the deposit reason navigation property. Oh my goodness. This is messy. I don't think I'm actually keeping up with this. Hello? Do I know what I'm doing? It sure doesn't feel like it. Okay, tell me about this. I can simplify this using a compound, question mark equals. So if it is null, then set it equal to a new blah. Then by the time we get here, if the deposit reason ID is changing, bless you, then that was really, really delayed, wasn't it? Come in. If the deposit reason ID is changing and not 0, and has value, Then we can get rid of this. But I'm checking to see that it has a value here, which means that you should infer that I want the value from it, because that means that it's not going to be null. Oh my gosh. Oh, geez. Thindle said, I've gotten a something from the US in the mail. I have to pay customs for it. It's 40 cents. But the set fee for the management of the custom stuff is $7.50. Feels bad, man. I don't understand why that makes you feel bad. I would feel good about it, that you don't have to pay as much as the normal. I don't know. I really don't understand. Did I actually do this correctly? Does anyone know? Because I sure don't. I'm not actually asking. Sorry. I'm not trying to take your attention away from whatever it is that you are doing, unless your attention is on watching the stream only, in which case, fantastic. Do I really want to change posted date to UTC? So I'm not actually capturing the time. So I don't think the end. The only thing that should be in UTC in the database is the date that the transaction is entered. If, and I keep going through this and I don't know that I have an answer yet, but if I am in some other time zone, like let's say that I'm halfway across the world, Australia, Japan, China, India, and I put in a record and then I move to the other side of the world, US, Canada, South America. Um, do I want the database to display the previous day as the date that the transaction happened? I don't think so. I don't think so. Same thing with posted date. Okay, I've made a decision. Hopefully, I'll remember that decision and stick with it. No guarantees. Okay, so if I am patching an existing transaction, I'm updating the transaction date. I'm only updating the account itself if the account ID is not the same as the passed in account ID. And I've had to do this often because I'll forget to switch which account I am paying, logging that I paid from. So I often have to switch the account, selected account. The memo, the posted date, and the date entered. Am I going to update the date entered? No, because that would be a date modified. Date entered stays the same. And we aren't tracking last updated. Crap. We should probably be tracking transaction.last updated. And the reason why is because when we requery for our transaction history, it should only query for records that have a last updated date. Yeah, I don't know. We'll figure that one out. When we get square. I need to step away for a quick second. I apologize. I will be right bacon. Bet you didn't expect that. Hello, camera. I'm back. Focus. Jez. I get back and my phone is like,
later.
wait, what was that? Oh my gosh. that Okay. The reason that that was extremely funny to me is one, I forgot that I had that one in there, but two, that sounded just like my project manager. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. I was like, am I still in a meeting with him? What in the world? Oh my gosh. I do have the sad trumpet. Oh, apparently I put it for bits. Thank you so much for all of your bits. Every single one of your bits, Dugasoft. We're still working on this patch. I'm gonna get rid of all of these. Not all of them, just these. Okay, so payment patch is going to be difficult because payments have multiple line items. You can imagine a receipt that has subtotal, sales tax, delivery fees, blah, 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 all of those types of fees. So that's what a line item is. So let's go ahead and do transfer first. Dang it. which is going to be in the same pattern where if transfer is null, there is no way that transfer is going to be null. So what I'm going to do instead, because for a patch, there is no way for us to add a transfer record to a transfer transaction type. So in all of these cases, instead of defaulting it to a new record, we are going to assume that every transaction that is a deposit transaction has a deposit. Every transaction that is a payment has a payment record, and every transaction that is a transfer has a transfer record associated with it in the database. There is no way for it to not, unless for some reason I went into the database and manually deleted a transfer record, or we started deleting a transaction and only got part of the way through. Son of a. But we'll be doing all of our deletes and transactions, so even if we only make it halfway through, the delete for the transaction with the transfer record must happen. It's either both of those or none at all. Cool. I do come with subtitles. I just haven't been turning them on. Do you want me to turn on my subtitles? That's a separate browser. I don't even remember how to turn on subtitles anymore, but I was using the normal Twitch, or I don't know if it's normal, but it seems like it's one of the most popular ones that I've seen on other people's channels. But whatever the auto subtitler is, but it seems like it's more distracting than you assume I can read. Night, night. I don't assume anything ever. Okay. So in the case where I delete a record from the database manually, that would be like a transfer record. I just don't see myself doing that. If I delete the transfer record, I assume that I will also be deleting the transaction record. And in fact, I think I have a cascade delete when deleting a transfer. That's the bot. Okay, show me transfer. Constraints. Keys, I said. To transaction ID. What is your I don't see cascade delete. Isn't this where I would see cascade delete? Maybe if I right click on the table, script as create, it will give me the keys and foreign keys. I don't have a cascade delete. So if I were to manually delete a transfer from the database, it is possible that the transaction itself could be orphaned. But do I really need to code against that scenario when I don't plan on doing any manual database adds and deletes? Hmm. I guess it's not necessarily just me. It could be if someone else takes my code base and tries to use it and then decides to manually delete. But that's not intended use. But should I still guard against it? Gosh. My my oneness says I should. You know what? I am not going to. I'm just going to say if transaction dot deposit is null, break. Get out of here. I'm not going to throw an exception. I'm just not going to update the deposit record because you can only update deposit records, or the only thing that you can use an update for is to update records, not create new records. Although we're going to have some new record creation down here in payment entry view model because payment details. Blah. T. Williams says, I couldn't tell you the last time I was able to connect a database to my project. All of my apps connect to databases at the customer site that I can't connect to during development. Yuck. So you don't even keep your own dev copy with fake data? Because you can see all of my databases from my previous job where I just had shallow copies. Okay, I'm gonna copy this and put it here and here. Oh, I thought you already responded. It looked like text shifted on my in my chat. Okay, okay. So we don't update the transaction ID. We might update who we are actually paying to. And so this is going to be the same situation as if we were updating the deposit reason. But every payment transaction must have a payee. So that's why we are able to do it the same way as we do deposit reason. So if payee is not equal to payee ID. Oh, right. Updates. Updates all around for every single one of you. Payee ID. Perfect. Thank you, Copilot. You have won the day. Okay, so if we're paying if we're changing who we are paying from this transaction, then we will also set the navigation property to null bang. And that way it will reassociate the correct payee record. Yeah. Most of the time it's been annoying to me, but I just haven't turned it off. I haven't turned it off. Okay, so this is the part that I didn't want to do yet. That's why we were working on that's why we were working on this down here on transfer next, because it's easier. So if the target account is changing, we're going to do the same logic as before. And then total is going to always update. Nope. If got target account ID, how about now? Thank you. Then we're going to update the target account. So I didn't mean to transfer from my savings to my checking. I meant to transfer from my checking or from my savings to my credit card because I'm paying my bill or whatever. That's that scenario. I make stories in my head when I write code. Can you tell? I guess that makes sense because when you do agile development, you're usually fulfilling stories with code. Dukasoft is very nice when it works. When it doesn't, it can be really annoying. Lies. Even when you don't work, you are super duper cool. All right, so this is the fun one. Has anyone ever had to do a patch on a list of objects that are a child of another object that you are patching? What? Was that something I said? Oh. Oh. I see. But I didn't mean to transfer from one account to the other. Tough. Too bad. Can't fix it. Nope. My answer to that is 12. Well, that's a good answer because it happens all the time. I followed a pattern that is essentially create my three list of records to add, records to delete, and records to update. Transfer fees may apply. This is just tracking. There is no actual money transactions happening. There are no actual money transactions happening from this app. That is just tracking. I'm sure there's a generic way to do this. But for now, this is. My goodness, Tukusa. I am not. Like, I know to expect them, but I am not expecting them at all. Hello, Tomukas. Tom UK as 147369. Did I get it right? Since this is the only place that I'm doing this kind of patch for these records. Ooh, awesome. um, then I'm just going to write it inline here. Otherwise, if there were going to be more places that I need to patch a list, then I would put it in like an extension method for any kind of enumerable of passing in the compare to and patch kind of thing. The whole transfer issue could be solved with a simple "Are you sure?" message box. Well, I mean, like I don't really mess up the transfers as much as I mess up the payments. So a lot of times when I'm entering in my information, again, I currently have this app in an Access database that I use personally, and so I wanted a Blazor app for it. Um, but I oftentimes enter all of my financial transactions for my credit card and then enter, save, enter, save, enter, save. And then once I'm sure that that's balanced, once I'm really sure that that's balanced, I get like 6 pop-ups that say, "Are you sure you're done?" Then I move on to my next account, probably my checking account. And then if any transactions happen there, then I enter them next, but I forget to change the account because it stays on the most recent used account. Oh, Access, there's your problem. Yes. I'm not using Excel as my database. I know, I'm such a bad person. But The Access application is connected to my SQL server. So the exact same data that I'm using currently for my financial management stuff in my actual financial management database is the same, is going to be the same data that I use for this app. That's what I'm trying to say. I just need to restructure it a little. So anyway, I'm going to do it the straightforward way, which is var pd to add, because lazy. So first thing that I am going to do is get all of my regular payments from my payment entry view model. Oh, line items to add. That's what it is. Line items to add. And I am going to compare it to, I'm doing it backwards, the line items that are currently in my payment record. So I'm also going to be a little bit more lazy as well and do payment rec equals transaction.payment. Get a reference to that so that I can just do payment rec because lazy. Actually, let's go even further and do line items. Payment details. Do it all sorts of backwards. Okay, so this will be any payment details where payment ID is 0. So these would be new payment records. Otherwise, we would have gotten back the existing payment records with a payment ID, not payment ID, just regular ID. Bindle is going to go play a game, try to distract himself. I hope you have tons of fun. No worries about needing to keep your screen on. Like, your viewership and your energy is definitely welcome. However, there's no need to do that kind of thing. Hello, consummate. Consummate. I can read. You. What are you offering us anyway? Aw. Aww. Dukasoft being an amazing mod. Look at him go. Oh, you'll be listening still? Cool. Well, I hope you win. I haven't been. I have been playing Neo lately on occasion. It's kind of fun. I liked it. I'm not really into Souls-like games, but apparently, if it has a story, I'll like it. And not to say that Demon Souls and all of the other Souls games don't have a story, but yeah, they're not really stories that I can get into, I guess. Where Neo and Sekiro and I guess only those two I could really get into. What use would I have for 2 screens if I didn't dedicate one to Mr. Lion? Well, good question. I hope you find a good answer. No, I'm running out of time. We need to do this. Holy cow, I didn't realize what time it was. Okay, so li to add is going to be where the ID is 0. So this would be a new record that is passed in as a line item during the edit process of this payment record, payment transaction record. Li to remove would be anything in our existing line items where the ID is not in our list of passed in line items. Any. Any is what I'm looking for, not any. Y arrows, Y ID. And then line items to update are existing line items where it exists in both lists. And since both of these lists are materialized, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as an IEnumerable so that it doesn't actually run those yet. Am I though? Am I though? I think I'll two-list it. That way I can go to payment detail. Oh, right. So that I can use the any in an easier way. So if li to add dot any without needing to run the query here and then loop through each or do the add range and then run the query again. We just do the query once for each and then dot any will just give us back if count is 0, and that would be the count property. So it doesn't actually need to evaluate it and then do a count. So if li to add dot any, then payment details dot add. What am I doing? Add range. li to add, add, add. If li to remove dot any, then payment details dot remove range, which we can do because it's a list. Oh, we can't do because it takes a starting index and then total number of items, which means that we can't just do specific elements. Maybe we can use remove all because we can get a predicate where li to remove contains the ID. So what I should do then is li IDs to remove, li ODs to remove, and we will select the ID to list li IDs dot to remove, because this will be faster than doing another iteration through checking to see if there's a match, and if there is a match, then do it. This is just, does this array contain, and actually we can even make it an array so that we don't have the overhead of creating a list. If this array contains x.id, then it'll get removed. And finally, we can simply do, because again, this is already materialized, for each var li to update. And now that I'm doing this, do I even need an array? A list is what I said. I'm not using any, I'm using add range, but on payment, on existing line items. That's a thing. For each var li's to add. Another one? Jeez. For each li to add and li's to add. I really, I'm starting to mess up because I'm trying to hurry. We don't need this anymore because we're already materialized. And so if there aren't any, then our for each will just exit. It's not like it's going to be null. It's just going to be empty. And we can use the regular add on I collection. Current item to add. And we don't get a remove all either. Really? Because it's an I collection. So then we can also do another for each. I don't like this. I don't like this one bit. And this will be to remove LIDs to remove. You will be just a regular remove. Then we can't use LIDs. We need the actual entity back. From our existing line items. And finally, for our allies to update, go Copilot. Oh, I think maybe if you put it as a to-do, it won't do it for you. Go Copilot. No suggestions? All right, so we're going to do this in the next video then. We're going to essentially do a patch on each of the line items. What is your suggestion? Use explicit instead of var? Why? Why is that your suggestion? Oh. Yeah. Okay. It was like, you made these other changes elsewhere, therefore, you probably want this change here. And it's, no, I don't. I don't. I want everything for this stuff to be from my payment details that have not been entered. Okay, so we will update the properties of the existing line item. And then down here, we will be returning the transaction, which means the update will be successful at that point in time. But we're going to have to see that in the next stream, in the next video. So that is it for my stream. I'm going to get back to work. First, I'm going to go heat up some lunch and enjoy that, and then come back because I want to get more stuff done before the meeting later. Thank you all so very much for hanging out with me, for allowing me to be graced by your wonderful, amazing energy. We're going to raid out to one of our friends that I have almost always been lurking on his channel. His name is Finite Singularity. He does JavaScript development type stuff, unless he's finishing soon. He might be finishing soon. Let me get into his stream real quick. He looks like he's at his ending stream. Okay, instead we're going to go see T. Williams when he starts streaming. Big Gamey, who is currently a baby, probably because of Dukasoft. We'll go see him. Okay, as Dukasoft posted in the chat, please feel free to join our Discord if you want. We are a friendly community. We hang out there. We like to help each other out. I ask questions. I answer questions. Many people do all of the sames. And yeah. Also, I will be posting the video, the recorded video, to YouTube sometime after 24 hours after we end the stream. And ¿qué más? What else is there? I may as well go ahead and commit the changes that we've made so far, even though I still have work. It still compiles and it runs. So you can see the latest code on our project site on GitHub. And yeah, that'll be it for me. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. And ciao. See you later. Okay. I know that I'm always looking over here when I'm talking to you guys, but that's where the chat is. I should be looking at the camera. Terrible at that. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Have fun.